Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to show you how I drew this cupcake and painted it using Shinhan watercolors. This is one of the artworks I did while I was preparing for my Shinhan PWC watercolor review. And honestly, these are a dream to work with. I'm really loving these paints. I'm not sure if the review is up yet on my YouTube channel, but if it's not, it will be shortly. I'm starting off by sketching with a red Col Erase colored pencil. Those are the erasable colored pencils by Prismacolor. And I'm just kind of getting a basic outline in. Now I am going to just kind of wet the strawberry area, and I want to add in some nice clean red tones. Now the paintbrushes I'm using are actually the prototypes for my new collection of brushes through Craft Ammo. I didn't have the final ones yet at the time I recorded this. It was recorded a little while ago. I like to let the colors kind of flow together, and I'm using two different shades of red, one that's a little bit cooler and one that's a little bit warmer and warmer. And I'm adding a little bit of yellow ochre up there near the stem just to give it that little bit of unripened area. And now I am doing the some of the cupcakey cake area itself. It's like a strawberry cupcake, and I'm painting around the icing, so there'll be a little bit of contrast there. And again, I'm using a variety of shades of red and also a little bit of that yellow ochre to warm certain areas up, because when you have like a cupcake, it's got usually almost like a vanilla base, and it's got a little bit of a vanilla color in amongst the red. Now I am doing the drizzle that is on the plate itself, the kind of puddle of syrup, and I am using another variety of reds and a little bit, I think I mixed in a little bit of like a brown in there to give it that darker tone near the cupcake base, or it's a little bit earthier. And I just kind of dabbed in some more pigmented color, less watery, to get the little seeds that were in there. And I'm doing a little bit of brown and ultramarine blue and making the plate and adding a little bit of yellow ochre and some blue on its own. And I like that burnt umber and ultramarine mix because it's like it gives you a little bit of granulation and texture and is pretty. And now I'm doing the shadows in the icing. Oh, by the way, this took me about 45 minutes in real time, but I didn't narrate it when I was recording it. I was just kind of fooling around, and I happened to turn the camera on. So I'm just voicing it over a couple weeks after the fact. So yeah, hopefully I don't forget too much. I used a little sap green here in the stem. Their sap green is so beautiful. I love this set. It's 32 colors. I feel like the colors are pretty well chosen, other than a couple samey colors. But I mean, there's no black, no white. The colors are useful, high quality, low price. I mean, man, what's not to love? I put some seeds in there using cadmium yellow, I believe, and just kind of let them dry. I used it pretty thick, so it would be a little more opaque. And now I'm going back into the icing again with a little more shadow, and then finally glazing over with a really pale yellow ochre with a little bit of pink in it wash. And I like the way that looks. Going in with some shadows on the top of the strawberry on the little leaves. And basically that's the sap green with a little bit of ultramarine blue, I believe. And oh, by the way, the mixing trays and palette I'm using here is from Sean's 3D Printing. And I think I already have a review of or kind of like an unboxing of the different things that they offer. And then like I've been using these for about a month now. I really like them. So a little video about that is up on my channel if you want to learn more. But they're very inexpensive little inserts for like mint tins. So kind of handy if you're looking for something like that. I don't have a 3D printer. I think that those things are just ideal, and it's nice that I can get them without having to invest in a printer and learn how to use it and all that stuff. So a little more convenient than a bunch of loose half pans too. So might be something you're looking for. I'll try to remember to link that down below as well, and the video that kind of goes over them. Now I'm putting another layer onto the cupcake area, and since it's like a cakey texture, I want to try to achieve that texture with my brush strokes, and I'm just stippling. So stippling is when you're just kind of dabbing a color, just kind of like you're just kind of dot the color, and that's working pretty well to give me the texture that I want. These colors are really transparent. They layer up beautifully, so it's wonderful for a project like this where you want to keep layering and layering and layering until you get to the amount of saturation that you want. Now at this point I'm drying the paper, and I dry the back of it too just to make sure there's no moisture, because I want to go in with a gel pen and add some highlights. And If you've ever tried to use a gel pen on damp paper, you know that it does not work well and sometimes ruins your gel pen. Same thing with fine liners. A perfectly good fine liner will be ruined if you put it on damp paper. So take that hairdryer, take that heat tool, whatever you have, and just you whisk away that moisture and you are going to have a much better time of it. I like to use a gel pen for the glistening textured highlights on the cake too, because it's had like a glaze poured over it, and that just does a really good job at it. And here I have some Dr. P.H. Martin bleed proof white. I didn't really like using the gel pen for the thick highlights, so I decided I would go in with some of that. That's a really fun product to use if you don't mind using white in your watercolor paintings, but it's kind of like that really pure, bright highlight at the end. You can thin it down and it still stays pretty opaque. You can tint it with colors. It's just like a really, really strong white gouache. The thing that's really nice about it too is if you do use mixed media stuff, it's less likely to let other colors leach up and bleed through. That's why they call it bleed proof. So if you're using markers or watercolor or other inks and you use it on top, you have a less likelihood, if you don't thin it down, of it leaching some of that color up from down below, which happens quite a bit if you're using gouache, sometimes even gel pen over certain materials. I actually have a correction to make here. This actually only took me half an hour. I just realized that I walked away from my camera at one point and it ran for like 15 minutes with nothing happening. So all the funny things you find when you go back to edit. So here what I'm doing is adding a little bit of like strong pinkish red color where the glaze has puddled, and I'm spraying it out with a damp, soft brush. That's called the British tube brush method, and it works really well when you want to have kind of strong color fading off into nothing, and that is to depict the that sauce that's been poured over the cupcake that you see puddled underneath it, and it just gives it a beautiful, rich depth, I think. I went through and added some darker shadows into the strawberry hull, so just to give it a little bit more depth, and plus that green and red, those are complementary colors, so that green hull really makes the painting. It makes the other colors pop. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this quick time lapse of one of my review paintings. It was fun to paint, and I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for watching. I'll have all the supplies I used linked up down below. Until next time, happy crafting.